Hey, friends of the Leaf. Good Monday night here. Hope all y'all's doing pretty good. I was smoking a bowl of McBaron plum cake, which is a light English with a little hint of Jamaican rum in it, and from McBaron. And I was smoking in my little tinderbox pot, and I was flagging some videos, tagging some videos that I was going to watch later tonight. One of them was smoking Grandpa Bones, and he's got 2 or 3 out today. And one of them, he was smoking a Partagas 1845 cigar, and I said, "Well, boy, that thing looked good from the picture." And I said, "I think I got one in my humidor. Let me go see." And I rummaged around. Sure enough, I did. But I said, "Well, I smoked one on yesterday's video. I hate to do 2 cigars, but it looked good and it smelled good, and it's been aging in there a couple 3 months." And I said, "Well, I'm gonna go ahead and do it tonight." So that's in honor of my good friend and brother smoking Grandpa Bones. That's what I'm smoking tonight, is a Partagas 1845. So I haven't. Y'all don't think I've given up on the pipes, because I smoke 4 or 5 bowls today. Matter of fact, I've been on the pipe more in the last 4 or 5 days. I've kind of eased up on I got on the cigars pretty heavy, because I truly like them. But number one, they get too expensive, and number two, I just got the longing for that pipe too. So, but I hope, like I say, I hope everybody's having a good week so far. Today was my first day back to work. Lord, in just almost a week, as you know, I was under the weather 3 or 4 days, and I laid around, and messed around, and got down in my back, which I suffer from back issues anyway. So I had double trouble. And I'm going to tell you, I have felt better today getting out and stirring and getting back to work. And we had a busy day today. It's the 1st, and of course it's coming up on the 4th of July, and we're getting ready for a big weekend for that. That's one of our busiest weekends of the year. And boy, this is a good little, not a little old cigar, it's a big one, but it's a good one. Bones, I hadn't watched your video. You might not have liked it, but I do. This is a good one. This is a good one. When I watch your videos, this may be one of your least favorites. I don't know. I hadn't watched it yet, but I see your avatar there, your picture lighting it up. But no, I tell you, the economy today seems to focus around real heavy the 1st of the month. We rely on that 1st of the month. It's good the first couple of weeks, pretty good the 3rd week. Bad, slows way off on the 4th week, and everybody's waiting on it 1st, and that's the economy we revolve around now. That's the way that our politicians have gotten it. We don't have any good jobs here anymore, and people are hurting, and people are, either can't find a job, don't want a job, or some of them are generational, So it's a wide range of things, but it's times are tough now. I'm telling y'all, it's I've not seen people hurt this long and financially, and well, I can't ever remember it. My brother and I were talking today, and well, my dad too. He's 77 years old. He said, "I've never seen it like it's been in the last 3 or 4 years." It's just not good, and I think people are beginning to see that it's not good. I think people are waking up like we've never seen. I think we're awakening a sleeping giant, and that's the common man and woman out here that's fed up with that, fed up with this nonsense, of politicians serving themselves and not the people anymore. That's what we got. So y'all remember that in November. I usually don't want to sound political, but on our little community deal here, but I urge my friends, y'all, let's vote. let's make a change in November. Let's put reasonable people in there that care about us, and let's work on getting these jobs back in this country that we've shipped overseas. That let's put people back in there that want to get them back over here, because we're never going to recover with a job. We don't make nothing, and we don't manufacture anything in this country anymore, and we have got to start. I mean, you go back and look a few years ago, in the last 20 years, how many televisions were made in this country? There's not any made here. Maybe that Vizio, that Walmart sells, and I don't know that the components are made. It may be assembled here. But, I mean, Lord, you had Magnavox and Zenith and RCA and Philco, and you had, I may have said Magnavox, you had Curtis and Mathis, you had, there was tons of them here. And I think GE made them, General Electric, and my pickup truck is a Chevrolet 2011, made in Mexico. The one I had before it was made in Indiana, and I made it a point to look on the door to be sure that it was made here. When I bought that last one before it was a white one. The first one I looked at was made in Canada. And there's nothing against Canadians. I've got family living in Canada. But I wanted something made in this country. And I said, no, I don't want that one, but I want a white one, and I want it made in this country. Well, we found that one. It was identical. The dealer must have had 150 new trucks on the lot. And I found that one, and it was made in Indiana, and it was identical to it. And that's the one I took, And I'm a Chevy man, and I always have been. I've had a couple of 3 Ford pickups. Hadn't had a Dodge yet. We've got a Dodge product. My wife drives a Jeep, which is a Chrysler product, and been a good one. But I've always drove Chevys, a couple of GMCs. I've probably had 7 or 8 Chevy pickups, probably 2, 3 or 4, 3 Fords that I can remember. A couple of Oldsmobiles, and I wish that's a car I wish they'd bring back, is the Oldsmobile. I loved the Cutlass, and I had a couple of Delta 88s. I used to be a car freak or a pickup freak. I'd trade pickups every couple of years, and it just, if I was telling somebody the other day, I said, how foolish was that? Of course, I can't do it anymore. They've gotten too high. I cannot afford to do it. The last one I drove about 9 years, and maybe closer to 10. But, since I was 16 years old, I can't remember how many of the ones then were used, I bought several new ones, and got to where I was trading sometime every year, a couple of times, and I think of the money that I spent to trade up to every year and a half or two. And man, I'd be in good shape today. That is a total waste of money to be a car nut. And I did it, and won't do that again. My wife's Jeep's 10 years old. Now we're fixing to do something with it in the next 12, 14 months. Because it's got about 180,000 miles on it, 190. It's got the 318 Dodge engine in that Jeep. It's a Grand Cherokee, and I bought it new in 04. And it's been a good one, but I'm fixing to have to put her down. But that's what we do now. That one, that Jeep, and the white pickup I had before this one, this blue pickup I got now, I've had it 3 years, and I'm gonna run it 7, 8 more. I'm not doing that anymore. And I guess that's came with age, This was all up through, I was about 38 or 39. I was doing all this, and I guess, and my dad used to be that way. And when he got in his 40s, he quit it too, and he drives them now 10 years too. And and nowadays you have to. You have to drive them. It's just ridiculous what they cost, Of course, we're not going to buy anything fancy. If I buy my wife, and she's kind of wanting to buy a program car. She wants one of those little Chevy Cruisers, which they're not expensive at all. Of course, they've had some recalls on them, but the thing what she's liking about it, she drove one and loved it. is the fuel economy. The difference between it and that Jeep will make the notes on it, like in about $40 a month, will almost pay for that thing. So, difference in 18 miles to the gallon, 19, as opposed to 30. Well, a friend of mine's got one, and he drives at the same distance on the same road, and he's getting 34, 35 miles to the gallon, 36 some days. He drives it right. But see, that Jeep used to get over 20, 21, 22, but that was running conventional gasoline. Nowadays, with that stupid ethanol, it drops it to about 17.5, 18. And that's, I'm hearing that that's something that we may fortunately get scrapped here in the next few years. The government's finally seeing that ain't working, so, and it's not. My truck is the E85. It supposedly will run on 85%, but I can tell you, if I burn conventional fuel in it, it goes up. But the problem is you can't buy any branded conventional fuel like Chevron or Mobil or Exxon or Texaco, Shell. They don't make it. The only places that sell it are totally unbranded, so they have no additives in it. And I'm a firm believer. You can say, well, gas is gas. It all comes out of the same. Well, it does, but let me tell you, I spent a lot of years in the gasoline business. Every one of them has every branded Chevron, Shell, Texaco, Mobil, whatever. Conoco, Phillips, all of them have detergents and additives that they put in at the terminal. Yeah, it all comes up the same pipeline to that terminal, but when it gets there, it's got its own additives in it, and it is different. And they've even got what's called a footprinting technique. In other words, back in Hurricane Katrina, we were selling Chevron gasoline. There was long lines at the pumps. We were selling a transport load a day, which is 8,800 gallons. Some days we was getting 1,000 or 1,100 gallons beyond that. We had some days that we got 10,000 gallons, and we did it. I mean, it was lined up to the street. It was steady. As soon as one car would pull off, it'd be a line. So there was people from everywhere coming up here, and it was crazy. Well, then all of a sudden, our gasoline was coming out of Arcadia. There's a terminal over there. And you see Shell trucks over there, Chevron, Mobil, Exxon, Fina, Conoco, all of them. And that's right, they're all over there. But there's different terminals. There's different fuel points for each company. And each one is blending their fuel with their own additives right there. So it got to the point where Arcadia couldn't keep up fast enough. And we were just going to run out. Matter of fact, we would be out sometime 4 or 5 hours. We couldn't get fuel. And I had to, Chevron sent a letter out in an emergency deal where we could buy, what did they let us buy? It was a Valero, which there's a Valero terminal south of Monroe. And we pulled a couple of transport loads out of there. But we had written permission from Chevron to do it, and here's why. Up to 6 months after that Valero gas was dropped in my tanks, and trust me, they come around. You may not see them for a year, but within 2 years, you're going to see them. You don't never know when they come, and they may come twice in a year. You just don't ever know, but they come. They take samples of your fuel out of that tank. They take them back to the lab and test them, and it's called a footprinting or fingerprinting on it. And they can tell within 6 months if there's been a foreign brand of fuel in there, and that will cause you to have your signage pulled. If you're flying a Chevron brand flag like we were, they'll come snatch that sign down. They'll take everything that says Chevron off of that building, off of those pumps, and you'll lose your right to take credit cards from Chevron. And in our case, that was a big deal. We took a lot of Chevron cards. So there is a difference. And I've sold, since my first time I sold gasoline, sold Exxon for a brief time. Sold Texaco for a long time. I had many Texaco locations. Had Shell, had Exxon again, sold FINA and Chevron. And of every brand I've ever sold, I've never sold Citgo, although I've got a drinking out of a Citgo mug. That was given to me as a prank by a friend of mine who's a Citgo jobber. I was selling Exxon, I think, at the time. Might have been selling a little bit of Chevron too, but Chevron is the best fuel I ever run. My vehicles get better gas mileage. I try to. I don't have one close enough to me. The closest one's about 4 miles the opposite direction than I go, and it's out of the way. So I buy a Shell right around the corner. But when if I buy gas where my restaurant is in that little town, I try to buy Chevron. There's a location, and if I'm on the road, I buy Chevron because my cars perform better. They truly do. And I used to be top-notch Texaco. I used to buy nothing but Texaco, and I've sold a little Exxon, and they run the worst on the Exxon, believe it or not. But yeah, I like Chevron. And of course, now Texaco is a division of Chevron. They bought them. This Ramble's getting a little long. They bought them. Shell and Texaco had formed a partnership, a marketing partnership called Motiva, and the same marketing group was running the retail location, and Shell somehow got the upper hand and decided they would just outright kill the Texaco brand. And Chevron managed to buy them here a few years ago. Of course, now even the Haviland oil cans don't say Texaco Haviland, they say Chevron Haviland on them, and it's not the same Haviland oil. If you want to buy the same old Haviland, you buy the Shell formula, and that's the old original Haviland. But but when Chevron bought the rights to Texaco, they said they was not going to do the same thing to Texaco that they did to Gulf. They made that mistake. They wasn't going to do it again, and they're trying to really bring Texaco back. See, when they bought Gulf back in the 80s, around in my area, and all through the Gulf states and the southern states, Gulf stations were strong, and you've seen them on every corner. We didn't have any Chevrons down here. They were all on the west coast and whatnot, west of here. And all of a sudden, they come in here one day and started yanking Gulf signs down, putting up Chevrons, and they totally killed the Gulf brand. It's coming back now. But a company on the East Coast bought it. It is not the original Gulf, and they destroyed. And they said they wouldn't do that with Texaco because they learned their lesson with the Gulf. Well, friends, we're at 18 minutes, and I didn't mean to run that long, but I'm enjoying this part because this is a fine cigar if y'all get a chance. And this one wasn't real high, around $8. I mean, it's high enough, but it's compared to some, it's not as bad. But it's a good, occasional smoke for the money. A man can't afford to smoke like that every day, but I try to buy as many of those kind of everyday smokes as I can at cigarbiz.com. I buy my special occasion stuff from Governor's, the premium blends and the boutiques that I like to enjoy occasionally. But you have to get something you can afford to smoke every day and get it down right. All right, friends, y'all take care. Have a good one. And as always, God bless you.